and criminal would be if you only watched the porn version of films instead of the original.
Yes, yeah.
Ryan's private.
Take a good will humping.
Right, time now for our final record attempt. The fastest time to dress up as Santa Claus. Okay, so you can see I've already got it on. I was going to do this myself, but one of the conditions is that you have to start out in your underwear. So I've asked my son Theo to do it for me. So much better at his unmentionables than I do.
Oh, he's not wearing your own?
No, he's not wearing mine. The time to beat is 30.94 seconds. I'm going to hand over to Craig for the last time. Any rules about this, Craig?
It's approved, Guinness World Records approved Santa outfit. You know, you have to put it all on exactly as it's presented. And when you're done, hands up and say stop or go over, whatever. Stop is quicker. You have 30.94 seconds to beat. So I'll give you a 3, 2, 1.
Okay, come on. And then at the end,
We're very good.
Ready?
Can I just ask Alan to give me some radio commentary on this?
Certainly.
Over to Alan in the commentary box.
He's standing up. Near some Santa.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Go on!
And you achieved 28.
Has he done it?
He's done it.
Where's my boys? Theo, this is a bit of very important Christmas for you.
You're going to have the smuggest round robin.
I know, right? I just recovered from Alan's world record. This is the point where I traditionally do the scores, but it's Christmas, so everyone is a winner! That's it from Justin, Holly, Chris, Alan and me, and Merry Christmas to you all, you fluffy animals. Good night. Terrifying. Welcome to QI, where tonight we've gone all rock and roll. Please welcome on bass, it's Katie Brand. On drums, Ishan Akbar. On guitar, it's Bill Bailey. And on lead vocals, Alan Davis. Musical, that must have been painful.
It was.
Yes, I can only apologise.
It was an affront to my musical sensibilities.
Yes. So, to kick us off, what kind of music did they listen to in the Stone Age? Oh, come on.
Rock. It was rock music.
It was rock music.
What?
Is correct.
rock music like the Rolling Stones?
It was going so well, and then you just opened the trap door right like that. Yes, singing rocks used for music have been found all over the world. So if you go to Serengeti in Tanzania, there are stone gongs in Tanzania as well.
Stone gone.
Yeah, well, you can actually see the impression of where they've been struck. There are dolerite boulders, so an igneous rock with percussive marks in southern India. There's a cave in France, Fuamir. It's all over the world.
But how do they resonate?
Well, it depends on the rock, but this type of rock.
Yeah.
It's called a lithophone. It's from the Greek lithos for rock. Yeah. So this is a Victorian group that you very pleasingly were called the Till Family Rock Band.
That's boring.
Isn't that fantastic?
And they're more rocks that they've laid out like a sort of glockenspiel.
Yes, exactly, darling. They're rocks from the Lake District, indeed the entire family is from the Lake District. Now the rocks are from Skiddaw, and it makes a most fantastic sound, and it is a huge pleasure to play. Have anybody here ever played a rock instrument of any kind?
I have played a rock, yes. Hit upon a stone that was designed to be struck, and it was
It
extraordinary.
makes a most beautiful noise.
Yeah.
So they have some in the British Museum who are not really supposed to play them, but we have some security footage from the museum which we need to play now.
It's kind of jazz-like.
I would say if I was reviewing that album, I would say, as expected, slightly disappointed.
Yes.
I think it was very musical. I've got a 4-year-old cousin who did the same thing.
There you go. They're probably similar height, actually. Well, what's was extraordinary was, I'm not musical in the slightest, but depending on where you hit it. Thank you, John. I think Alan might win. Depending on where you hit it, it made a completely different sound.
Yeah.
But you get stalagmites that have clearly been used as instruments, and they were struck 20,000 years ago. In fact, there is a new theory that Stonehenge may have been an ancient concert arena. So the inner circle of stones, they're called blue stones. They take on a sort of bluey tinge when they're broken or they're wet. And some of the blue stones have it's a microscopic structure in them, and it makes them sound like a metallic gong. They came from the Preseli Hills in West Wales, a place called Caermean, which means butter rock. And they've tested the rocks in the area, and a huge number of them sort of ring out when they are struck, and it may explain why they went to such an effort to take the rocks all that distance to Stonehenge, that in fact they were making music.
A butter rock would be a terrible instrument.
It would be a terrible instrument. Yeah. Now let's play butter. Yeah.
I'm guessing it wasn't a sort of touring operation.
No, I would imagine that the audience had to come to you.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah. Every time I see Stonehenge, I always think about Tess the Dumplings. There's the most wonderful line. She's walking along, and it's dark, and it says, Tess suddenly felt a huge erection in her front. And it's Stonehenge. What do you think the term rock and roll originally referred to?
Some sort of body movement.
Yes, where?
In something that you're rolling.
Well, where might you put that kind of...
In a barrel. In a barrel. Put in a barrel. and
Put in a barrel.
put
It's the movement of a ship.
In a boat, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 17th century phrase, rocking and rolling, to describe the movement of a ship on the ocean. And then in the early 20th century, you get it to be to do with dancing, to get spiritual fervour, and a euphemism for, you know.
What's that? It's a euphemism for...
Oh, I was doing a hand euphemism there.
The jellyfish.
Yeah.
Two crabs colliding.
Okay. Sex. I don't know why I was shy suddenly. I don't know what that's about. But the phrase, in terms of it being used for music, it was a Cleveland radio DJ known as Alan Freed, and he used rock and roll for the very first time in 1951 to describe what we now know as rock and roll music. Right, what are these people doing?
Moving a massive nipple tassel.
So what's this? Tippecanoe?
Tippecanoe procession. Does anybody know anything about Tippecanoe?
No.
this is to do with an American presidential election. So it's called a presidential campaign ball. So in 1840, William Henry Harrison ran for US president against the incumbent President Martin Van Buren, and his whole campaign centered around victory balls. So huge spheres, they were made of tin and of leather, they were more than 10 feet in diameter, and they had pro-Harrison and anti-Van Buren slogans written on them, and his supporters would go to a rally and then they would roll the ball all the way to the next town in order to gain attention. The word OK comes from this election. So Martin Van Buren came from Old Kinderhook, and OK comes from things will be as good as they were in Old Kinderhook, which is where he came from in New York. So this is the beginning of us using that expression, that things are OK. It's an extraordinary campaign because it spawned the phrase keep the ball rolling. That's where we get from. But Tippecanoe was Harrison's nickname. So he was the leader of the US forces at the Battle of Tippecanoe. And the campaign was a huge success. Harrison was elected president, first election in American history. There they are, in which a candidate won more than 1 million popular votes. Unfortunately, he died after becoming president.
Run over by a giant ball.
And then the really weird thing, 1888, his grandson Benjamin was elected president with exactly the same strategy. So here is the actual ball. You can see how big it was. It was steel ribbed and canvas covered, this one, and they rolled it around 5,000 miles from Maryland to Indiana. Yes, no, supporters would roll the ball along. No, it is astonishing. Yeah.
That's the bloke in charge of it there. He's not happy about it, is he?
Just sped down the route.
Oh.
You're going downhill for 1,000 miles.
The only grandfather-grandson duo in American politics, the two Harrisons. For people who don't approve of royalty, isn't it extraordinary how many fathers and sons there have been?
They like a dynasty.
They like it.
There have been some truly terrible American presidential slogans. This is Ulysses S. Grant in 1872. Alfred M. Landon against Franklin Roosevelt in 1936. Thomas Dewey versus Franklin Roosevelt, 1944. This is my favourite, Richard Nixon, 1972. No. What would you have? What would anybody have if they were going to run for president?
Well, I mean, my surname Akbar means the greatest.
Oh, well, you're off and running.
So it would be Allahu Akbar. Probably Ishan is Akbar, so Ishan is the greatest.
Yes, that's right. I think that's very strange. I think I'd just have I'd be best.
Yeah. I think the best slogan is the sort of thing you say to children when you need them to pay attention. So I think mine would be Katie Brand. Can everyone just calm down?
Yeah.
I used to do fringe festivals in Canada. Every year there was a comedy group, sketch group, and they called themselves Free Food and Beer, and that was their free food and beer all over the town.
It just like some ludicrous promise that you could never ever follow through. But
Just free anal sex with Alan.
free.
Play on the name.
Do you give it or receive or?
It's up to you. How you get it, you won't be charged.
Right. I think that's going to be less successful than you imagine.
Are you saying that normally that is something you have to pay for?
Yeah.
My favourite British slogan, I think it was 2005, was the Conservatives, are you thinking what we're thinking? Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Every time I saw the poster, I thought, well, it's biscuits. I'm not even thinking about biscuits.
Well, I certainly hope not. Free anal with Alan. Maybe just inexpensive anal.
Tesco value.
Yeah.
Everything will help.
I think you're going to get elected. In the 19th century, getting elected president took really big balls. I don't think that didn't help us move on, really, did it? It wasn't really an idea.
Oh, that was good.
Thank you, darling. What's the problem with an ice runway?
Slip off.
What do you say? It's too slippery. Too slippery. I'm luring you in.
You said it there, Sandy. I think that klaxon was for you.
Yeah, there's an
First time the host has ever got mine.
So the problem is not with taking off, it's not with landing. So what might the problem be?
Going
Is it
sideways.
just with existing because it might just
Yeah, parking basically. Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. So they are constructed in the Antarctic each year. So it services the US McMurdo Research Station. And it's made of sea ice, and they use it from July to early December. Apparently, when it's good and solid, it's a bit like landing on concrete, it's absolutely fine. But when the heavier planes come to a stop after landing, they start to sink into the ice because the braking heats up the tyres. And so what they actually have to do when the plane is sitting there, they have to train lasers and monitor the height of the tyres. And if it goes below 10 inches that the aircraft has moved down, they have to repark it because it just keeps on sinking.
I mean, that's quite a bold. I'm the first person who thought, let's land this hot plane on that ice.
Yes,
What were they drinking?
I know, it's fantastic.
There's an airport I landed on in Svalbard that's on the permafrost. It's very bumpy, but the Norwegians they're very practical people, and the pilot said, there's a bit bumpy landing because the permafrost is melting because of the global warming. Anyway, have a nice time in Svalbard. What?
We had our honeymoon in the Arctic, and I was talking to one of the people that we met there. I said, how bad is the weather? I said, well, last winter was very bad. The porch blew off my house.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's terrible. He said, no, it was winter. Who needs a porch in the winter?
That's right.
You can't really argue with that, is it? Fair enough. Let's have another Harry.
There's enough problems with just normal runways before you start ice. There was in an old job, I had to work in Guernsey. And I don't know if you've ever travelled to Guernsey, but they have quite rickety small planes.
Yes.
And as we were landing, it was clear that he was running out of runway, the pilot. So I think what he decided was just to turn the plane off and let it drop. And when it dropped, he came over the tower and went, whoopsie.
Once we were trying to land in a storm in Indonesia, and it didn't land. And then he came round again, and then he said, sorry, I bottled it.
The world's longest paved runway is twice the length of the shortest commercial flight. So the shortest commercial flight, I think we've mentioned it before, is Orkney. It's 2.7 kilometres, a little hop between Westray and Papua Westray Islands. But the runway at Chandu Banda Airport in Tibet is 5.5 kilometres long. So here's the thing, the airport is nearly 4,500 metres above sea level, and thinner air means that the aircraft needs to gain more speed in order to generate the lift required to take off. So that's an extraordinary thought, isn't it? The longest runway is twice the shortest commercial flight. Right. Who's got the most rock and roll medical records?
Mick Jagger.
Why do you say Mick Jagger? Do you think
Because he's old.
No, it's not. It's not him. Any other thoughts?
So not someone like Lemmy from Motorhead.
Has he been under the doctor?
Well, years and years ago, my first job in TV was as a work experience runner here in this very building, and one of my jobs was to look after Lemmy. Not in that way. He was an absolute gentleman, lovely. As long as there were 5 bottles of Jack Daniels in his room, he was an absolute delight. He was actually very, very nice, but he did tell this story where he said that he had heard that people in the 60s were having full blood transfusions, people who had been addicted to drugs.
So that they no longer had drugs in their system?
Yes. And he had gone to his doctor and said, you know, I have been drinking and doing everything, you know, so that I'd be interested in this too. And he said his doctor told him that if they were to do that to him, the shock to his organs of clean blood would kill him instantly. So it would be best to remain 90% Jack Daniels.
Topped up.
Yeah, just sort of.
He lived to an ripe old age.
Yes.
That's why I've got a mug of JD right here.
So here's the thing, Western media, quite a wide range of it was banned in Russia during the 1950s and 60s. So there was a black market in bootleg gramophone records. Now you had to fashion it out of some kind of readily available source of thin plastic. What might it be?
Condoms.
No, we are talking about X-ray sheets. In fact, I have a record here.
Is that an actual one?
It is an actual one. So they were known, I'm going to try and say it in Russian, Rotnakostyak Rock on Bones, they were known as. They were also known as Skeliet Maya Babushki, a skeleton of my granny. So
I see, so I can see now.
I've got this.
See the image of the bone.
Light box, and if I hold it up like that,
Amazing.
How amazing.
then you can.
But does the record just sound like someone going,
This is a record by a Latvian-Russian singer called Konstantin Sokolsky, and we couldn't get permission to play it.
I'll do it.
But they pressed all sorts of music on these records. You could get Elvis, you could get the Beatles, you get the Beach Boys, the Rolling Stones, Ella Fitzgerald, all sorts of banned Russian artists. And they were very expensive because they only lasted for about 7 or 8 plays before the grooves completely degraded. But very popular for their, not only for their musical content, but their appearance.
So what is on this record there that he doesn't want playing?
A wonderful, sort of rather jolly, rollicking Russian song.
Have you heard it?
Yes, I have.
Can you recreate it to some extent?
Right.
I'm in the pub in Glasgow for a minute.
With a couple of nipple tassels.
You can still buy them today. What I like is if they've got better looking bones on them, they're more expensive. On the subject of musical rolls, I once had a pianola. Does anybody know what a pianola is?
It's a player piano.
Yes, player piano, yeah.
So it has a roll of sort of paper that you
Yeah,
attach
when I
to.
was a kid. It'd be like a parchment with holes in.
Yeah.
And if you push the pedals quicker, it plays quicker.
Yeah, so like a pneumatic air system, and it reads paper rolls of music. There are more advanced versions which exist called reproducing pianos, and it's not just the notes but the volume and the tone, and you can effectively reproduce a live performance. So there are lots of famous composers, including Gershwin and Grieg and so on. They were recorded performing their own pieces. I mean, presumably now, darling, that must be possible, but not
Yes,
technology that
you could do if you wanted. Yes,
Just
I mean there are
reproduce.
simpler ways,
Yeah.
like laptop.
You're so boring.
I know. It's much more interesting to try and let's record it on some kitchen roll.
But the difference between that and a laptop is that, in a way, with this reproducing piano, you are still
Yeah.
sort of watching the live performance.
That's right. Well, what the brilliant thing about this was that it would record the expression of the piano as well. So the player would put literally their very own imprint on the roll. So it wasn't just the notes; it was actually the expression and the way they played it.
So
So
it's
they
a
were.
bit like Grieg's ghost turns up to play for you.
Yes, it would be. It would be exactly like having Grieg in the room,
Yeah.
and we all know what that's like.
When I was a child, I learned some Indian classical music, and we used something called a harmonium, which is a wind-based kind of piano. So you press it like this.
That's
and
right. It's a beautiful thing, that.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
it's really, really beautiful.
But you're very musical anyway, aren't you, Danny? You've been a choreographer in your...
I was a Bollywood dance choreographer, yeah. For
How cool is that?
Oh my goodness.
God, give us a couple of moves.
Yeah.
Go on.
My husband is obsessed with Bollywood dancing and he loves it. But if you could teach me a couple of signature moves to teach him,